Today we are going to discuss other essential controls of VB. Already we have discussed many controls of VB. However, there are some other essential controls which we use frequently and which we haven't discussed it yet. So today we are going to discuss 6 other essential controls such as Datetimepicker, Scrollbar, LinkLabel, Panel, Picturebox, and Progressbar. Let us start with the Datetimepicker. So from the all Windows form, you go to Datetimepicker. So it look just like a combo box, but when we click this Datetimepicker, a month view will appear in which we can select our required date. So it allows selecting a date and time by editing the display value in the control. So the user can make selection according to his required date, and the new selected value again will appear in this control. And some of the important properties of Datetimepickers are name. Name is the name of the Datetimepicker. By default it's Datetimepicker 1. And another important property is format. Here by default it's long. We can change it to short. That is, the format will be like this for short, and only time also we can display. So today that one is the current time, and we can customize the display also. Like instead of this small hyphen, we can have this one slash, we can have dot, so we can customize the format also. Let us go with the default selection. And for the next property, we have minimum date and maximum date. That is, we can set the minimum date and maximum date that can be chosen. By default, the minimum date that can be chosen was for 1/1/1753, and the maximum date is 31/12/9998. So normally we don't need this much range, so we can set this. Like for the maximum, if I want today as the maximum date, and for the minimum date also I can set whatever I want. I will click here and a month view will appear. This one is January 1753 month calendar. I can click here and the month, only the month of a year will be displayed, and if I click here then only the year will appear. So I can set to whatever year I want. Okay, sorry, like I can set from 1st February 1990. Okay, like this, 1st February 1990 till to date. I can set the range. And another very important one is the value. So whatever date I have selected will be stored here in this value. Okay, so these are the important properties of Datetimepicker. And if I click this Datetimepicker, this one property Datetimepicker 1 value change will be called. And there are some other events here. We have all this, and instead of this one, the click, we have that value change events, and we have got focus, lost focus, key down, key press, key up. All these are the common events. Okay, but we don't. The different thing is the difference is that we don't have double click event and the click event. Okay, so instead of that we have the value change event. Suppose when I click the Datetimepicker, I want some message box to show the date of today's date. Okay, today's date is, and I will put some ampersand to concatenate the text, and I'll put now. dot okay, sorry, the Datetimepicker date time picker 1 dot value. And what format do I want to display? I do short date string. Okay, I can put short time string also, so that's not a problem. I'll just put short date string, and I'll run my program. And here, sorry, okay, I'll click here. Okay, here today's date is whatever I click. Again, I've clicked second table, so this one is displayed. And if I click some other things, then that corresponding value will be displayed. And the same way, when I click, I can put, if I want to display the current time, I'll just put dot value dot do short time string. So today's time will be displayed in the message box. Okay, so let us move to our second control, that is scroll bar. I'll just delete this one and delete this procedure also. And for the scroll bar, we have two type of scroll bar, that is horizontal scroll bar and vertical scroll bar. Horizontal is this one, horizontal scroll bar, and we have a vertical scroll bar, that is vscroll. Okay, so for the scroll bar control, display vertical and horizontal scroll bar on the form. They are used for navigating through large amount of information, and this horizontal scroll bar will scroll it widthwise, and this one will scroll in the y-axis. And the important properties of these two properties are, first one is the name, which one is the name of the scroll bar. For by default, horizontal scroll bar is hscroll1 and vertical scroll bar is vscroll1. And beyond that, we have minimum and maximum. That is, we can set the minimum value and the maximum value. By default, for the horizontal scroll bar and vertical scroll bar, the minimum is 0 and maximum is 100. The same for scroll bar, vertical scroll bar also. The minimum is 0 and maximum is 100. I can change this minimum to 50. Okay, let me change the vertical scroll bar maximum to 50, and minimum will remain the same. And another property is small change and large change. Here the large change is by default 10, and the small change is by default 1. So for this vertical scroll bar, I'll just put the large change as 5. Okay, and small change will remain the same. And for this one, large change 10, large change 10, and small change as 1. And another property is value. So value determines the current position of the scroll bar. So in order to know the current position of the scroll bar, let me just introduce two labels which will display the scroll bar value. Okay, label 1 and label 2. So when I double click the horizontal scroll bar, its corresponding events will be generated, and here it's scroll bar dot scroll. So I'll set label 1 dot text to the scroll bar value. It's scroll bar dot value. Okay, and the same way for vertical scroll bar also, I'll put label 2 dot text equal to vscroll bar 1 dot value. Okay, and I'll run my program here. So when I start scrolling, the small change is set to 1. So here the small change, the value change to is incremented by 1 only. And when I click here, this one is the large change, so the value will be incremented by 10. So here 10. And for the vertical scroll bar also, when I increase it, it's incremented by 1. And when I click the small change, since I set to 5, so it will increment by 5. Okay, and for the scroll bar, as we have already said, okay, the maximum is 100 and the minimum is, so the maximum number is 100. For the vertical, the maximum is 50, but here we have only 46. We can have only 46 because the large change is set to 5. So if I set to 1, then only the maximum value can be obtained. The same way for the scroll bar also, I have set the large change value as large change value as 1. So if I set for the vertical scroll also the large change value as 1, then the maximum value can be obtained. Okay, so these are the demonstration for the scroll bar. Next we have a link label. I'll just delete this 2 again, and the procedure also. Okay, link label. This one is the link label. It is similar to label, except that this type of label are usually used for hypertext, that is to link to some other page or to link to the same page but different location. So here by default it's blue in color and it's underlined, and when we hover a mouse or when we click it, it changes to red, and when we double click it, we have its event, that is link click. Instead of click, we have link click. So we will write the code for this for the link label, like instead of this one, some web page, welcome, and then when I execute it, yes, the link, see, it will change it to red, and this one is the some simple demonstration of the link label. We have the properties. The default is text is link label, and if we visited some web page, then it will change to purple, and we have visibility option also, and here we have link color is blue. We can change this to any other color from here, from the, it will show the color palettes, and this one we can set the font and for color. Other properties are similar to the label, which we have already discussed. Okay, and next we have a panel. Okay, so a panel is a container control that is used to host a group of similar child control. That is a panel is usually used for designing, that is to make our forms looking better. Okay, and we can set its background image, and we can set the property for a particular panel so that when we want to hide a number of controls at one time, then we can put those controls in the panel. So when we hide it, or when we hide that panel, then everything which is on that panel will be hidden. So it's very useful for designing our phone to make it more interactive. And this so it does not do nothing much, but it's just for the container of a control. As the default name is panel 1, and we can put a scroll. If the panel is too big, then we can enable the auto scroll property to true, so when it's needed, then a scroll bar will automatically appear. And we have auto size property to make the panel size, this one, float, that is not fixed. Okay, and we have the back, we can change its back color also, and instead of back color we can set its background image also. And we have this enable here. This enable property will also be very useful when we use panel, because if we want to a group of control to be to disable, we will just disable the panel, and we don't need to write code for each and every control. So for that one, it's very useful. And we have the font for color. Other are very these are all very common properties of control. So I'll just demonstrate it. Like suppose I put the label, sorry, another label, and text box, another text box, and another text box, and button, one button, like this. And if we want that this particular okay, I'll have here two button. Okay, height and 1, 2. Okay, I'll have 4 button. First button is for height, and second one is for show, and this one is for enable, and this third one is for disable. Okay, so when I click the height, this panel 1 dot visible equal to false. If I want to hide it, I put panel 1 dot visible to false. If I want to show it, then I'll copy this one, panel 1 dot visible equal to true. And if I want to enable, panel 1 dot enable is equal to true. And if I want to disable, then panel 1 dot disable dot enable equal to false. Okay, and I'll run my program. Here it's enabled, so I can type whatever I want, and I can click the button also, but I haven't put any code for this button, so nothing happens. If I want to hide, here everything is gone. If I want to show it again, then again it will appear. And enable is already enabled. If I put this in disable, then nothing, everything is gray out, so everything is disabled. And if I enable again, then I can enable it. So using only one line of code, I can change the appearance and the enable property disable property, everything at using one line of code. Okay, so this is the demonstration for the panel. So again I'll just delete this one before moving to the next control. Okay, for the next one I have a picture box. So let's go to the picture box. Okay, picture box. So a picture box is used for displaying image on the form. So the image property of the control allows us to set an image both at design time and runtime. So suppose if I want for the property, default is picture box 1. For this tutorial I'll only demonstrate how to display image at design time. So here we have the picture box, the name. I can change, these are all the common properties. Either if I want to display image, I'll set this display image property. I'll browse through some list of pictures. Here I have our college logo. Okay, so this is the image, and if suppose by chance if the image is corrupted or the image file is shifted to some other place, then a error image. Here for the error image I can again choose another bitmap image. Okay, so one important property is the size mode. That is, here it's normal. So since the image is small, so it does not cover the entire picture box, here I can make it stretch also to cover the entire picture box, or I can put auto size so that the original size is displayed, and center image and zoom. Okay, so these are the mode, the display mode of the picture box. And lastly we have the progress bar. This one is the progress bar. It represents a window progress bar. It is usually used to provide visual feedback to your user about the status of some task. So we usually see this progress bar when we are installing an application. It shows a bar that fills in from left to right as the operation progress. So here we have a different style like block, continuous, and marquee. So we'll stick to the first one, block, and step is 10, and we have the maximum and minimum value. So here it will increment by 10 each, and for by default for the minimum we have 10 and the maximum 100. So here let us set minimum 0 and maximum as 20. Okay, and we have the value also. The value determines the value of the progress bar, just like the scroll bar. So it will start from 0, and the maximum is by default it's 100. For this tutorial I have changed it to 20. Normally for this progress bar, like when we run the program, nothing will occur, because since the value is initialized to 0, so nothing happens and the progress bar is not filling up. So in order to see the animation of the progress bar, we'll just add the timer. Okay, what we need to remember is that when we use timer, by default its enable property is false, so I'll put true. And the interval also, by default it's 100, and I'll put here 1 second. Okay, and whenever the timer ticks, I need this progress bar value to increase. Okay, so I'll just declare one variable dim I as integer equal to 0. So I will initialize to 0, and whenever the timer ticks, that is after every 1 second, we have already discussed this in our previous tutorial, that this timer 1 tick event is called. So I'll put this one, the value, the progress bar value is I want this progress bar value to increment, so the value is equal to I. First I'll put it to I. Okay, so I want this to increment, so I equal to I plus 10. Okay, so I have set the maximum value to 20. So when if the value is 20, then I want that progress bar to stop. So when it is 20, I'll this one I'll disable this timer. That enable is equal to false. I'll disable the timer, and I'll show a message box, that is message box dot show, then progress completed. Okay, so let me run this program. Okay, this one, progress completed, and the timer is closed. Okay, so here I have the maximum value is, let me just check it. Yes, maximum is 20 and minimum is 10. So here, since I have incremented by 10, so this one, the appearance, see, I have increment by 10, so after 2 seconds the progress stops. So I'll just change it to 2. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, like that. The second will count up, and here at the last, progress completed. Okay, so this is the demonstration of the others essential control of VB. Thank you.